Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Akmalia binti Rashid. My matrix number is 14 DEP 21F 1076.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurina Hadira binti Abdul Hafiz. My matrix number is 14 DEP 21F 1024.
Hi, my name is Tengku Farah Nolana binti Tuan Abdul Razak. My matrix number is 14 DEP 31F 1009. Today we would like to present about history of Highland Tower. Highland Towers collapse. The Highland Towers collapse occurred on 11 December 1993 in Taman Hillview, Ulu Klang, Selangor, Malaysia. Tower Block 1 collapsed from a major landslide caused by heavy rains that burst diversion pipes. The Highland Towers consisted of 3 12-story buildings or blocks. The collapse of Block 1 resulted in 48 dead. Residents of the other 2 blocks and neighbouring establishments were evacuated due to safety concerns. The Highland Towers complex was built in phase between 1974 and 1982. It was constructed at the western base of a steeply sloped hill, terraced intensively in the early 1980s. Block 1 was the southernmost building, Block 2 was built northwest of Block 1, and Block 3 was built west of Block 2. The towers were home to affluent middle-class families. A sizable percentage of the residents were expatriates. Causes. In 1991, the construction of the Bukit Antarabangsa development project began on the hilltop behind Highland Towers. Due to the clearing of trees and land covering plants on the hill, the soil became susceptible to land erosion. Soil erosion and landslide led to the eventual destabilization of Block 1's foundation. It started before the construction of Highland Towers when water was diverted from a local stream called East Creek to bypass the building site. However, the piping was not strong enough to contain the extra water. Mere debris, sand, and silt from both the creek and the building site. The pipe burst at several locations, which resulted in Block 1 absorbing the excess water. In December 1993, the area experienced a prolonged period of heavy rainfall, which caused the soil to become muddy, and shortly after, water was observed flowing down the slope of the hill. After a prolonged period of heavy rainfall, a landslide began, which destroyed the retaining wall behind the first block's car park. An estimated 100,000 cubic meters of mud gradually pushed the foundation of Block 1 forward. The growing pressure fractured the foundation of Block 1. Some residents left the building when they saw cracks in the walls and the paving around the towers. Although signs of damage were apparent for several days, no remedies were implemented before the collapse. Block 1 collapsed at 1:30 p.m. on 11 December 1993, bringing the building's occupants under tons of debris. 2 Indonesian people and 1 Japanese woman were the first 3 survivors rescued, though the woman died later due to internal bleeding sustained in the collapse. A student who lived near Highland Towers witnessed the collapse and reported to the media. On 13 December, the 24 members of the Japanese Disaster Relief Team and French Corps, a French Civil Defense Team, arrived at the disaster site to assist in rescue operation. According to Police Internal Security and Public Order Director Datuk Ghazali Yaakob, rescues became aware of survivors from the 3rd and 4th floors after 2 trained German staffers defected them inside the building.
On 15 December, the rescue team entered the collapsed building via the elevator shaft and rescued 2 women from the scene. Despite discovering a message tied to a wire purportedly from survivors of the 4th floor, no bodies were found. On 16 December, the French rescue team detected knocking sounds within the rubble of the collapsed building. However, as they could not find any additional survivors amidst the rubble, the rescue team pulled out from the 6th floor and above. Meanwhile, residents and owners of homes and Highlands Tower registered names of victims and set up a committee to represent them. The security deployed heavy machinery and trained dogs into the collapsed building as a final attempt to rescue potential survivors. The rescue team dug the building up from the ground to the 5th floor on 19 December 1993 and found 29 decomposed bodies near the staircase of the 3rd to 5th floors. 10 additional bodies were later recovered from the scene. Army staff began preparing for the demolition of the unaffected and evacuated Block 2 after finding it unsafe for further occupation. The rescue team ended its search on 22 December 1993, finding only 2 survivors recovering and remains of 48 people. After the collapse, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim argued that all skyscrapers and condominiums should undergo street inspections to ensure that buildings were safe for occupation. Additionally, he encouraged the training of local rescue personnel in the event of a future disaster. Opposition leader Lim Kit Siang of the DAP called upon the government to set up a royal commission of inquiry to investigate the collapse. On 15 October 1994, 6 residents filed a lawsuit against the developers of Highland Tower and 8 other related parties including Ambang and Ampang Jaya Municipal Council for alleged negligence. The lawsuit bought more than 1.5 million RM for loss of property damage, rental fees and funeral expenses. The developers and architectural team were sued for constructing the building without regard for safety. The plaintiffs argued that the architectural plans were designed without a preparation in mind and were approved by the engineers without knowledge of who designed the plan. Additionally, the construction company was found to have used substandard materials and improper welding procedures during construction. As all residents evacuated both Block 2 and Block 3 on 12 December 1993, the complex was abandoned and fell into urban decay. On 11 June 1994, 6 months after the collapse, the first memorial ceremony to remember the tragedy was held at the site. A memorial plaque was erected in honor of those who had died. On 11 December 2004, the 11th anniversary of the tragedy of former residents and victims of the Highland Towers gathered at the site as a final farewell. The gathering was also attended by Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali and former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad's wife. On 11 December 2010, AETN's History Channel showed an hour-long documentary of the tragedy that featured accounts from the victims, their families and former residents of the Highland Tower. On 3 December 2013, it was reported that Ambang planned to sell Highland Towers and its nearby bungalow lots, though no reason was given as to the company's motive. When the land did not sell, Ambang tried selling it a second time on 5 January 2017. On 20 March 2016, the firefighter responsible for rescuing the 2 survivors reconnected with them on a TV9 television interview in Bandar Utama.
The abandoned remains of Block 2 and Block 3 were restricted from public access, and the area has decayed from both vandalism and exposure to the elements. Nearby residents reported that the remains building became a haven for criminals, drug addicts and migrants who used them as temporary shelter. On 12 April 2016, police fatally shot 3 criminals near the buildings. While attempts were made to cordon off the compounds, no perimeter fencing was installed, and the gate was eventually tampered with to allow access. Prolonged use of the site as a criminal hideout causes residents of Taman Hillview and the neighboring Taman Sri Ukis to call for the demolition of the surviving towers. The Ministry of Housing and Local Government, who suggests that the buildings be demolished and houses dedicated for the B14 group being built in their place, made an initial proposal on 28 June 2018. Former residents of the Highlands Towers, who hoped to convert that the area into a park instead, opposed the proposal. The land was later found to be unsuitable for housing and any buildings because of the collapse. As a result, the proposal was changed on 19 August 2018 to create a recreational park instead. On 14 September 2018, the demolition of Highland Towers was scheduled to take place in October 2018. However, the demolition was delayed on 11 December 2018 pending an analysis of the structural integrity of the buildings. After lengthy delays, the Highland Towers were scheduled to be demolished by June 2019. Those they remain standing as of July 2021. On 6 April 2021, demolition plans were once again announced. Urban legends. Because of the multiplied tides in the area, some local residents have alleged that the area is haunted. The assertion have attracted paranormal enthusiasts to the ruins attempting to capture paranormal activity. Others have visited the site to pray for success in the lottery. In 2015, a YouTuber visited the area to investigate. Their teams found no evidence that the area was haunted. Other local residents deny claims of paranormal activity and attribute assertion of such activity to hallucination. Subsequent landslides in the vicinity. Landslides continue to occur during mid to late year's monsoon season on both sides of the hill where the Highland Towers were built and at nearby hills in Uluklang, with some leading to fatalities. On 15 May 1999, a major landslide occurred downhill from the Wansa Heights condominium at Bukit Antarabangsa, 1.1 kilometers northeast of the Highlands Towers, cutting off the western access road up to Bukit Antarabangsa. No fatalities were reported. On 20 November 2002, the Taman Hillview bungalow collapse occurred at the top of the township of Taman Hillview, immediately south of the towers, destroying a bungalow belonging to retired Afim Bank chairperson General Tan Sri Ismail Omar and killing 8. On 31 May 2006, the Kampung Pasir landslide occurred between the nearby village of Kampung Pasir and the Taman Zuville housing estate, 3 kilometers north of the Highlands Tower, destroying a Kampung Pasir longhouse and killing 4. On 6 December 2008, the Bukit Antarabangsa landslide occurred on the eastern side of the township of Bukit Antarabangsa, 1.5 kilometers northeast of the Highlands Towers. The landslide severely damaged 14 luxury bungalows, killing 4 and injuring 15. Highland Tower There is a film made by a Malaysian director tells the true story of how the tragedy of a collapsed building, high ground towers.
Thank you!